Good evening, America, and welcome back to the Satirical News Dolls, the only news show where world leaders discuss global security, and somehow it still feels like we're watching a very polite man read a strongly worded email. Tonight's clip features Zelensky, president of Ukraine, reminding the entire international community of something that should not need explaining in 2025. If you're making decisions about us, maybe include us in the meeting.
Truly appreciate that you all stand with us, with Ukraine, and that we are working together for our shared security. Right now, when it comes to security, there is nothing to divide between us, and there are no separate issues. Everything affects all of us, and everyone needs to be fully informed. We firmly believe security decisions about Ukraine must include Ukraine. That was our position in Geneva, and always security decisions about Europe must include Europe, and the same applies to Canada, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, other countries, and every nation. And this is simply fair, and it actually works, because when something is decided behind the back of the country or its people, there is always a high risk that it simply will not work. And we all believe that people should decide their own future, and this is in particular what sets us apart from regimes like the one in Moscow. So thank you all for moving forward together and staying coordinated and united.
Okay, Zelensky just gave the diplomatic equivalent of, "Don't plan my future without inviting me to the meeting." And honestly, he's right. When a country is fighting for survival, you don't get to make backroom deals about their security like you're dividing up leftovers.
He said it politely, but the subtext was screaming, "Stop negotiating Ukraine's fate behind Ukraine's back." Meanwhile, Trump is out here allegedly whispering to Russia like, "Hey, what if we just let you have a little chunk, a sampler platter?" No, sir, Ukraine is not a Costco.
And I love how Zelensky listed basically the whole democratic world, Europe, Canada, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, and said, we all need to be informed. We all need to decide together. Translation, Trump can't cut a side deal with Moscow and expect the rest of us to clap.
Exactly. Zelensky stands there talking unity, sovereignty, and shared security. Meanwhile, Trump is talking whatever Putin's mood ring tells him to say. One of these men is building coalitions. The other is building escape routes from accountability. Choose wisely.
Friends, now we have a good result from Geneva and from the meetings and talks that took place there. Ukraine has the framework developed by our teams in Geneva. That framework is on the table, and we are ready to move forward together with the United States of America, with personal engagement of President Trump, and with Europe, with leaders, and with all partners who have their strengths and capacity to help. And I'm ready to meet with President Trump, and there are sensitive points to discuss. We have them still, and we think that the presence of European leaders could be helpful. And let's discuss some key issues today in a closed format. But we must also not lose sight of reality. Russia's war against us is not in the past. It's happening every single day. Every day Russia takes Ukrainian lives. Just last night, thanks for warm words and the words of support from you, friends. So last night there was yet another massive attack on our country, so we cannot relax or forget that Ukraine still needs defense support, security support, support of our resilience every day. And as long as Russia has not taken real steps toward demobilization, real steps to shut down its war machine, steps that would clearly show that Russia is serious about ending this war of aggression, we do not have the right to stop working to support Ukraine, to support our people, and to support our collective security. And we do not have the right to demobilize ourselves. We must protect lives, strengthen air defense, and hold the front line, keep sanctions against Russia, finally channel frozen Russian assets to bolster Ukraine protection, and work out finally the doable framework for the deployment of the reassurance force Ukraine of the coalition of the willing by signing of a relevant memorandum of understanding. Please let us keep working at 100% for security as we have before.
Wow, bravo! Zelensky is out here trying to talk about Geneva frameworks like a global leadership commander. And meanwhile, he has to politely pretend that Trump is capable of simple, personal engagement that doesn't involve accidentally blurting out classified intel into a plate of Big Macs and fish fillets from McDonald's.
He really said, "We're ready to move forward with President Trump." That sounded less like optimism and more like when your job assigns you a new coworker who once set the break room microwave on fire. You're ready, but also checking where the fire extinguisher is.
And I love the diplomacy. He's like, there are sensitive points to discuss. Translation, we need European chaperones in the room so Trump doesn't promise Putin the Eiffel Tower.
Exactly. Zelensky wants Macron, Schultz, all of Europe in there like, hello, yes, we are here as witnesses because we don't trust Trump to negotiate without accidentally offering Alaska. And honestly, smart.
Zelensky is talking frameworks, deterrence, air defense, sanctions. And Trump is probably somewhere Googling, can you trade Ukraine for a golf course? It's two different universes colliding.
And then he lays it out. Full strength, 100%, every day, no break. That's leadership. That's clarity. That's reality.
Meanwhile, Trump's reality is, I met Putin once and he smiled at me, so I think we can trust him. Ukraine is literally fighting off missiles, and Trump thinks foreign policy is a group chat. God help us.
All right, now let's jump from Zelensky's calm diplomacy to Garry Kasparov absolutely flipping the global chessboard over. Let's take a look.
I can't even imagine this. How can we discuss seriously the deal made by Trump's business partner? You know, it's a real estate deal to enrich Trump's family and sell Ukraine. And how can we seriously discuss that Ukraine will have to give up fortifications that are saving Europe? We're celebrating NATO. NATO is not strong. NATO doesn't exist. It's a fake. It's NATO, 4 letters. The reason you are still sitting here and celebrating it, Ukraine is dying every minute. It's a massive sacrifice. If not for Ukraine standing in front of Russia, Russian tanks would be already in Poland. You all suggested that Ukraine would give up. You offered Zelensky a right. And he said, I don't need right ammunition. 4 years Ukraine is fighting for the whole Europe. NATO was built to fight only one war, not to go to Afghanistan, not to go to Syria, one war to save free Europe from Russian aggression. Ukraine is the only country that is fighting this war, and we're still discussing, should we include them or not? Ukraine is the only country that is fulfilling NATO's destiny. And we owe them everything. Oh, let's sacrifice them. And Zelensky is making, I don't know even how to explain this choice. As a Russian, I also feel guilty. That's why I cannot tell him, show Trump middle finger.
Good Lord! Kasparov didn't just speak. He detonated every microphone in the room. My man said, NATO is a fake. And I swear, somewhere a 4-star general just clutched his pearls and dropped his NATO mug.
And the way he said Trump's backdoor Ukraine deal was basically a family real estate hustle, baby. He described it like Trump tried to trade Ukraine for a Cheesecake Factory franchise. The disrespect is Olympic level.
And Kasparov didn't breathe once. He just unleashed a 60-second verbal hurricane. Ukraine is saving Europe. NATO is cosplay. Russia would be in Poland by breakfast. Sir, please hydrate.
He looked like he's been holding that rant in for 8 years. And honestly, he ate. He's right. Ukraine is literally doing NATO's job while NATO is doing whatever the opposite of a job is. A hobby, a craft project.
And then he hits him with, you offered Zelensky a ride. That line walked into the room like a WWE entrance. The subtext was, Ukraine is fighting for its life while y'all offering Uber credits.
Kasparov is basically saying what everyone's whispering. How is Ukraine fulfilling NATO's mission while NATO fulfills absolutely nothing but vibes and PowerPoints? And he's right.
Then the last line? As a Russian, he feels guilty and can't tell Zelensky to give Trump the middle finger? That is the most diplomatic way of saying, Zelensky, blink twice if you're tired of dealing with these clowns.
Kasparov sounded like every fed-up immigrant auntie at a family dinner. You owe Ukraine everything. Stop being stupid. And frankly, we needed that energy.
And here's the wild part. While Zelensky is out here begging the free world to stay united against Russia, And Garry Kasparov is practically tearing his vocal cords trying to warn everybody. Trump's got an American envoy doing back-channel deals with the Kremlin like it's a Black Friday side hustle.
Yeah, while Ukraine is fighting for its survival, Trump's peace team is basically Venmo requesting Putin. What do you want the war to look like, babe? Instead of negotiating for America, they're negotiating against our allies. And honestly, against our own national security.